How are we all doing? All good? Yeah? Cool. I'm going to let all of you introduce yourselves, as I didn't introduce who you were, just your names. So we'll start with you, Grazie.
So I'm Grazie. I'm head of Melissa Global Marketing. Melissa is a shoes brand, the jelly ones, for the ones that haven't met before. I am overseeing all the marketing activities in Melissa. It has been many years. I started very young, as you like. So I oversee everything that is relating the brand positioning, the retail activities on Melissa. We have some concept stores over the globe, and the influencers projects, and especially the collaborations. Melissa has done incredible collaborations with many exciting brands like Y Project, and recently Colina Estrada, Comme des Garçons, Vivienne Westwood, and many others. So yeah, this is some more or less what I do.
Amazing. Thank you for joining us. Yvonne.
Hello everyone, I am Yvonne Victoria and I am a fashion, beauty and lifestyle content creator. I go by content creator because I hate the term influencer. I think it's got a really bad reputation now.
Noted.
I have basically had my account for about 8 years. I was kind of like thrown into the industry, and I've been doing this full time for about 3 years now. So I have YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Instagram being my main account, and yeah, that's me.
And my friend here, Joe.
Hi Ed. I'm Joe, Strategy Director at MG Empower. I kind of spent about 5 years in digital branding and moved into influencer marketing more specifically 2 years ago. And now kind of outreaching back into the 360 world of digital marketing again with MG.
Amazing. Amazing. Round of applause, please. So again, let's just have a free, open conversation. There's no trick questions. Just please share your knowledge, as I know the crowd are eager to hear insights on embracing the community economy era. So opening question, and free for anyone to take this. So what's the difference between having followers and nurturing a community?
I can go for this one. I think what Melissa has been doing, Melissa is a 40 years old brand, 40, wow. Yeah. So, and the things that made the most difference, I think, in terms of business in Melissa is the community. So it has a huge community of people that declare themselves like Melissa lovers. They are collectors and ambassadors, and that make like totally difference when you are talking about a long-term brand, a long-term business. They made your brand to be like something that can be very special. They advocate for your brand. Yeah. So I think the thing that made the most difference between having followers and having a proper community is having this emotional engagement with the people that are connected to your brand. So I think finding like a core proposition, very strong values, and making sure that your community is connected to them can give you like a long-term business life, I think.
I might hop in there. You're 40 years old. I think one of the massive things about community is it doesn't happen overnight. Like the joys of TikTok, you can have 1 million followers tomorrow if you have one viral hit. But in a year's time, unless you're continuously putting out strong content and the same values, that community is just followers at that point. It's nothing more and it's nothing less. So I think time is. We try and run campaigns wherein clients come to us and say, "Oh, we'll do a community-led, community-driven. Let's build community." It's a 3-month campaign, and realistically, we can say we'll try and get there, but it's a very small piece of the puzzle. So it's I think a little bit naive to think you can do it in 3 months. It's time, and it's 40 years, and it's consistency of messaging.
Yeah. From a content creator?
Yeah, from a
perspective,
creator's point of view, I've like experienced both sides of the coin. Like when I first started, it was just me having followers. And then I kind of had to transition into actively building a community because I realized, oh my God, my engagement is tanking. So it was kind of like I had to step out of myself and outside of my comfort zone and actually interact and engage with my audience. Like I find that when it comes to building a community as a creator, people want to feel like you are a real human being and they can relate to you. It's not just about, okay, I'm wearing XYZ and I've gone to ABC for dinner. They want to be able to feel they can relate to you and just connect to you on a human level. And I think, yes, sometimes it does take time. It can take years, but I think with TikTok, what I have seen is people are literally building those communities in such short spaces of time just because they are showing their personality and they're being relatable consistently. And consistency, I think, is the biggest thing. Like, it's very, very hard to kind of take a break as a creator because you kind of lose your audience if they're not 100% loyal, and that's very hard to find.
Yeah, that's for sure. And Gracie, in terms of sort of building your community, like at what point did you sort of realize you needed to make that shift to focus on your community rather than sort of followers or, you know, potential consumers? Or was that always something you had from the very start in terms of, I'm building a community for my brand?
Yeah, I think in the Melissa case, it started really like in the young social media age. It was in the beginning of a social media platform called Orkut. It was very popular in Brazil on that time. It's very old.
Do we have some old people here?
Yeah, it's a long time ago, yeah. And people just created, so we have a couple of fans that created this group that was called Melissa Lovers, or in Brazil they call themselves Melisseras. And they started to share their love and their affinity with the brand. So what I think is key on having this manifestation in your consumer and building this community is starting with a very strong brand proposition. In case of Melissa, I think the brand was built in 3 pillars that we have been working through all the 40 years, which is fashion, art, and design. So everything that Melissa does is related to these 3 pillars. So it's connecting with art, so empowering people, empowering creative people to join to the brand and doing collaborations. And that started to move people and getting them really involved with the brand. So it started from there and it evolved since now. I think one thing that is key for Melissa is also really getting people participating of the brand, so hearing their voices, getting insights from the community. So it helps to feed the community itself, so you get them power and they get your love back. So I think this is what have been working in Melissa.
I think, Yvonne, you mentioned sort of understanding your audience, and I know, Grazie, you mentioned empowered. Is that something for you, Yvonne, like you wanted to give to your audience in terms of the empowerment of knowing that you kind of understand them and you know that they want that real experience? Like, when did that sort of click for you as well?
For me, it's come in stages because sometimes life does get in the way. So there'll be times where I'm fully focused and driven and I just want to connect and kind of build that rapport. And I find that when I do have that direct one-to-one connection with my audience, I enjoy my social media more as opposed to just posting and going, because I just feel very disconnected. I don't really get any insights. One thing I did learn, because I have a mentor and she told me a few years ago, like one thing that's very important, whether it be a brand or whether it be a creator, is responding to your comments is very, very important. And it can be tedious, it can take a lot of time. And even now, I'm not 100% on it, but I do try to as much as possible, because when people take time out of their day to engage with you, they do want a response. They don't necessarily just want to be left on read, whether that be DMs, comments, story responses, YouTube comments. And I think when I started responding more and more to my audience directly in that way, I was kind of learning what it is they want from me, what it is they like, what it is they dislike. And I kind of built like a rapport with my audience to the point where like they call me a lady of leisure and they go by ladies of leisures themselves, because we've kind of connected on similar interests, whether that be the way I like to do my hair or makeup or the type of outfits that I like to wear. It's just little things, or it can even be little things as, oh, I'm from Nigeria, you're from Nigeria.
Yeah,
so
I'm from Nigeria. Yeah.
Oh, hi. We're everywhere these days. But yeah, you can connect with your audience in so many different ways outside of the content that you're giving them. It could be, oh, you live at home, or your audience will also live at home as well, and that's something that they'll be able to connect with and relate to. So, yeah.
Yeah, keeping it 100% real. Go on, Joe.
I might actually just have a question. A lot of that's in kind of relation to your brand. When you're doing branded content, how are you building that same engagement and that same community? Is it the same thing, you'll respond to comments, or are you doing anything different?
Do you know what? There are branded posts that I've done where I have responded to comments. There are some where I've done where I haven't responded to comments. It just depends on where I am in that point in my life. And what I've found is you should 100% respond to comments on every branded post you do, because they want to know. Like if I'm doing a video for a makeup brand, let's say Fenty Beauty, and someone's asking me, oh, what was that you used? And I didn't mention it in my description. It's always good to kind of like respond to that, because that can obviously convert to possible sales for the brand and it will look good for you. But what I've also found is when it comes to engaging with my audience, sometimes it can be very difficult with branded content, because there's sometimes such a strict brief to the point where it doesn't even feel like me anymore. So how are they going to feel like, how are they going to think that's me if I don't even feel like that's me?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah,
That's our fault.
Yeah, we're kind of leading with that. So, Joe, in terms of like building strategies that are sort of community led, and I know you mentioned like 3 months is sort of an impossible time. Like, what are kind of the things that you think about as an agency assisting creators or brands in helping them sort of build their communities?
I think it's the two-way street, right?
Yeah.
It has to be always more than a post, whether it's stories, whether you're asking polls, whether you're asking questions. You have to give people, when you're thinking about a strategy, you have to think about your audience and what is it that they want to do to engage with you, and where do they want to engage with you, and then once we've kind of worked that out, then we can place the brand in those places, or use the brand to create those spaces, whether or not it's on social media, whether it's in real life. Those are the sorts of things, like where can you offer people the spaces to actually engage with the influencers and the brand, therefore.
Yeah, and I guess a question to sort of all of you in terms of like connecting with your communities on different platforms. You know, how have you found that in terms of, do you need to be a certain way on Instagram, or is there sort of a behavior your community likes on TikTok? You know, is there a difference, or are you sort of the same sort of personal personas on each social channel? And from an agency point as well, is there specific strategies to build communities on those different social channels? It's loaded, sorry.
I am 100% a different person on every single platform that I have. Solely because like with TikTok, people don't necessarily want aesthetically pleasing, refined, beautiful images, or like just perfect videos. They don't want that on TikTok. So I find that I can be more raw and real on TikTok and actually speak more and engage. So what you'll find is with me personally on my TikTok, when I'm doing kind of like a beauty video, I will literally like talk through the process in my get ready with me's. But if it's going on Instagram, I'm not going to talk. It's literally just going to be, maybe it will be a voiceover, but it's literally just going to be background music, because I find that with Instagram, people just kind of want to quickly check in and check out.
Yeah.
Whereas with TikTok, people afford more time to scroll and really engage and watch, because when you go to TikTok, you kind of go with the intention not to just pop in and pop out. But with Instagram now, with the way things have changed, you go with the intention to pop in and pop out. Now, with YouTube, that's where I can feel I can be my full, authentic self. And that's where you get like the behind the scenes of, okay, like tonight, for example, you'll get the behind the scenes of that on my YouTube, or like my getting ready process for this, or just like how today has been such a long, hectic day, or me falling asleep in the Uber, things like that. That's what you'll find on my YouTube. So it's like all in one, but you just, what was the question again? I think I've like...
No, you're on the right track. It's just kind of how you navigate.
I'm a different person. I do different things for different platforms.
Yeah, before I get sort of your two responses, like just to sort of put it out to the crowd, like who is on multiple social platforms here? Please, let me see hands. Multiple social platforms, everyone. And who is the same person on all those platforms? Hands? You're lying, Ben. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I just wanted to see if we were all resonating with that, but yeah, I'll bring it back. I know, Grazie.
I think from a brand perspective, it depends on the strategy that you are aiming for.
Okay.
So it really depends on what we are looking for. Because if you're trying to launch a product, if you're trying to convert sales, there is specific strategies in different platforms that you can use for that. I would say that a brand, of course, needs to be present in all those platforms, and probably the brand also has a different voice in all the different platforms, because the thing is about you knowing a lot about your audience, knowing exactly what you are looking for and what you would like to communicate to this audience. And I would say strategy is the most important thing to decide when going to one platform or going to a creator strategy, or if you're building your brand positioning or propositioning, it's different every time. So I would say, yeah, my answer is depending on the strategy, you can find the right place and the right thing to do on each of the platforms.
Well, thank you. Joe, do you have anything to add? From a sort of agency perspective?
I'm probably aligned with change. Well, I think I would go more change creative on platform.
Change creative on platforms, yeah.
And we are probably guilty of putting, TikTok videos with Instagram Reels and thinking they're the same thing.
Yeah.
To an extent, they can be, but I do think people use them for such different things, and therefore you need to. The base idea can be consistent in both of them, but execution has to be entirely different in my view. But then that's when we're reaching out to different influencers for different platforms for obvious reasons. So yeah.
So do you think the communities that are being built on these various social platforms differ? To like, for example, your TikTok community, do you think there's different behavioural traits to the ones on Instagram, or is it just the sort of behaviours on Instagram and TikTok are just different?
100%. I think they differ completely. What I find with TikTok is I have a much more diverse audience, because the way the algorithm is, you're just pushed out to so many different types of people. Like me, for example, when I'm using TikTok, I find myself watching like earwax cleaning videos, and like I watch so many different things that I didn't even think...
Are you going to blame the algorithm?
Yeah, I didn't, 100%. No, but I genuinely didn't think I would be interested in
airwaxing.
Or pimple popping and things like that. But I genuinely watch those, and I think because of the algorithm and the way it's set up, you naturally do get different people from across the world. Whereas with my Instagram, it is diverse, but I would say it's more tailored towards people like me in various different parts of the world. So if we're talking United States, people that would be similar to me. If we're talking United Kingdom, there are also people that would be similar to me. Whereas with TikTok, they're all different. It can literally be anyone. So that's what I've realised.
Okay. Anything to add on that, Grazie?
Really agree, yeah.
Okay, cool. And just like to sort of kind of round up as well, just the last question. In terms of creators, do you think they are sort of assisting brands to connect with their communities like in a stronger way now? Or do you still feel like it kind of lies in the hand of like, you know, maybe the brand or the strategy, you know, from an agency, or do sort of creators play a bigger role now in connecting brands to the communities thereafter?
I think definitely yes, because of course when you're working for a brand, you want to build your own community, and working with creators that have a similar audience or audience that you would like to go for, it makes like the total difference. It can shift your business to the target that you are looking for. So I think on the Melissa experience, working with creators, we have been working with creators in so many different ways. It's not only in the social media platform. So we have been working towards creating a product or doing art exhibitions, installations, events, also like commissioned content. There are like a lot of opportunities when working with creators, and it's not just one thing, I think. And it definitely helps to build your community and spread the brand awareness.
For sure. And Joe, just I guess in terms of when we sort of do our strategies, how much emphasis do we put on sort of finding the creators that already have these existing communities for sort of brands to tap into and grow their communities as well?
I mean, I think it's essentially that is the nugget of what we do.
Yeah.
If you think of most other advertising mediums, it's very cold. It's always just a screen and it's actors. Influencers are an amazing window into kind of putting a face to a brand, making it, as I said earlier, like that two-way street, which I don't think many other mediums channels can do or achieve. And I think if you want to succeed in community building, it's by far and away the best avenue to do it, just because it's a good window, door, bridge between just looking at content and being aligned with values, and actually then going and living those values and finding ways in which to kind of do things, co-create with brands. Influencers are a good kind of bridge to do it.
And lastly, Yvonne, just leading on that, do you feel that power, as in, as a creator, you know, that brands are coming to you to connect to communities? Do you feel like you're in a position of strength as a creator to authentically help brands, you know, connect to the community thereafter?
I mean, I've never thought about it as like powerful.
I mean, that's how I look at it. Yeah.
I've just never. I mean, I feel like it feels like responsibility.
Right. Okay.
When a brand does reach out and they want me to do a reel or a post or whatever it may be, because I feel a sense of responsibility to where some brands may not do that background research and see, okay, does this actually align with this creator? I feel a responsibility to always only work with brands that I feel align with my own personal brands, because I'm not trying to be funny. Some brands get in touch and I'm just kind of like, where, like, well, how? Like, have you actually done your research? Like, how do you see this working?
It's definitely not MG though. We don't. We do our research for sure.
But no, I just feel like a huge sense of responsibility from that side, but also when it comes to delivering the content to my audience, I always want it to be as real and as authentic as possible. I like to ideally stay away from things that I have to ingest, because I just feel as though, again, bad reputation when it comes to like flat tummy tea and things, not mentioning any brands, but like it just has a bad rep. So I like to keep it as almost surface level as possible when it comes to the brands I work with. So like exterior only, so clothes, shoes, yeah, makeup if I go to a certain hotel or travel, but I don't personally like to ingest things, so I just don't feel like how can I feed that back to my audience? I don't know how. So I just feel like a sense of responsibility. I never really feel powerful. I just feel like, oh my God, this is so much pressure. Because cancel culture is really real. So yeah, I always want to do things correctly and just that align with my brand, and also things that I feel like my audience will want to see.
Amazing, amazing. Just want to say thank you to our speakers for this session. It was an amazing conversation. I hope everyone learned something new or had some takeaways. If we have any questions, please do put your hand up and ask. Oh, great. Do I need to come to you and give you the mic?
My question to you is, when a brand approaches you wants to create content with you, what's your favourite platform to make branded content on?
I have to say Instagram, because it's been around the longest. It's what I'm most comfortable with and what I'm like used to. So definitely Instagram. But I feel like if they're asking for a TikTok, I feel like I'm allowed to be more creative. So in that sense, it is a bit more exciting. But I'm still warming up to the idea of TikTok personally. Yeah.
One more. Gonna go to Andrea over here.
He also has a really good question.
Which one of you has a question?
That's not playing games, right?
I'll go after you.
So I think the question is how much you are influenced by your public, and how much does your public influence you? I think that's a question, what's the balance there in terms of you influence your public and your public influence you back when you're building new content?
Who's that for?
Yvonne.
Oh, it's for you, Yvonne.
Oh no, okay. That's actually a very good question, because as influencers, people always expect us to be doing the influencing, but we are heavily influenced by everything we see. And sometimes it's not even from your own personal audience, it can be from a fellow influencer's audience. So if you see, oh my God, they've done XYZ and that's doing really well, you feel like, oh, maybe I should do that and try to deliver that to my audience. So then we're talking trends, and I feel like we are heavily influenced by our audiences as well. So there's some things that I may post that I feel like I personally love, and it doesn't really connect to my audience, and I'll kind of gauge that, okay, so maybe they're not really feeling this, they prefer when I do hair tutorials, or they don't really like skincare, or so I kind of like tailor it. So it's kind of like I'd say a 30-70% with me personally. I think I'm doing 30% of the influencing at this stage, and I'm influenced by my audience. But if we're talking at the beginning, I'd say it was more 90-10. I was doing all the influencing.
Okay,
100%.
okay, cool. So we're just going to wrap it up now. Just give give our panelists a round of applause, please.